Imagine standing in the middle of a vast desert, where, according to local stories, radio signals begin to fade. Compasses seem unreliable, and for decades people have claimed to encounter events they simply couldn't explain. Deep within Mexico's Chihuahuan Desert lies a remote region known as the Zone of Silence. Some visitors have reported strange radio interference. Others believe this land attracts an unusual number of meteorites, and one of the most enduring legends tells of mysterious strangers who appeared out of nowhere, offered help to lost travelers, and then vanished without leaving a trace. But how much of this is true? Is the Zone of Silence really one of Earth's most mysterious places? Or has a remote desert become the center of an extraordinary legend? In this documentary, we'll separate verified facts from folklore, examine the historical evidence, investigate the scientific research, and explore why this isolated stretch of desert continues to fascinate people around the world. This is the story of the Zone of Silence. Zone of Silence lies deep within Mexico's vast Chihuahuan Desert, one of the largest deserts in North America. Stretching across thousands of square miles, this harsh landscape is known for its scorching daytime temperatures, freezing nights, and an almost eerie silence broken only by the wind. At first glance, there's nothing unusual about this place. There are no abandoned cities, no towering monuments, and no obvious signs of mystery. Just endless plains, rugged mountains, and a horizon that seems to stretch forever. But for decades, this remote desert has attracted scientists, explorers, journalists, and mystery hunters from around the world. The story began to spread in the early 1970s, after an unexpected event changed everything. A U.S. Athena missile, launched during a military test, somehow veered far off its intended course and crashed inside this isolated desert. The recovery mission required helicopters, military personnel, and a large scientific investigation. Soon after, rumors began to spread. People claimed the missile had been pulled off course by an invisible force. Others insisted that radio transmissions became unreliable in the area. Some even believed the desert possessed strange magnetic properties, unlike anywhere else on Earth. As newspapers repeated these stories, the mysterious region earned a dramatic nickname: the Zone of Silence. The name itself sparked the imagination of millions. Was this truly a place where technology failed? Or had one unusual accident grown into one of the world's most enduring modern legends? To answer that question, we have to separate the facts from the myths. Because behind every great mystery, there is usually a story no one bothered to verify. For years, the Chihuahuan Desert was little more than a remote and forgotten landscape. Then, in July 1970, something happened that would change its reputation forever. A U.S. Air Force Athena research rocket was launched from the Green River Launch Complex in Utah. The mission was routine. Scientists were testing equipment designed to study how missile systems performed during flight. Everything appeared normal. Until it wasn't. Just minutes into the mission, the rocket drifted far off its planned course. Instead of following its programmed flight path, it continued hundreds of miles south before crashing deep inside the Mexican desert. The impact triggered an international recovery operation. American and Mexican teams worked together to locate the wreckage, recover sensitive equipment, and investigate what had gone wrong. Official reports concluded that the rocket had experienced a guidance system malfunction, causing it to leave its intended route. For engineers, it was an unusual but explainable accident. But outside the investigation, a very different story began to spread. Local residents whispered that the desert itself had somehow pulled the rocket from the sky. Newspapers repeated dramatic headlines. Writers connected the crash to older stories about strange radio interference, and unusual events reported in the region. Before long, speculation replaced evidence. The idea that an invisible force existed beneath the desert captured the public's imagination. Some claimed compasses behaved strangely. Others reported intermittent radio problems. And with every retelling, the legend grew larger than the facts. But when scientists later examined the area, they found no convincing evidence of a mysterious energy field capable of affecting aircraft or missiles. So why did the legend survive? Because sometimes, one extraordinary accident is enough to transform an ordinary place into a worldwide mystery. And in the zone of silence, the biggest mystery may not be the desert itself, but how a single event created a legend that still refuses to disappear. After the missile incident, stories about the zone of silence spread far beyond Mexico. Tourists arrived hopping to witness something unusual. Journalists searched for strange phenomena. Researchers came looking for answers. And before long, the desert had become surrounded by stories that were as fascinating as they were difficult to verify. One of the most common claims involved radio communication. Some visitors reported brief moments when their radios produced heavy static or lost signal altogether. A few also claimed their compasses behaved unpredictably. However, these reports were never consistently reproduced under controlled scientific conditions. The desert's rugged terrain, extreme weather, and remote location can naturally interfere with some forms of communication, making it difficult to separate genuine anomalies from ordinary environmental conditions. But the most famous story of all wasn't about technology. It was about people. According to local legend, several travelers who became stranded in the desert were approached by three unusually tall strangers. Witnesses described them as calm, polite, and strangely well-dressed, despite the harsh environment. The mysterious visitors reportedly gave directions, warned travelers about approaching storms, or helped them find safety. Then, just as suddenly as they appeared, they disappeared. Some witnesses claimed the strangers spoke perfect Spanish. Others insisted they had no visible footprints. A few even believed they weren't ordinary humans at all. There is no verified evidence confirming these encounters. No photographs. No official reports. No physical proof. Only stories passed from one generation to another. Yet these legends refuse to fade. Because in places as isolated as this, stories often become part of the landscape itself. And every new visitor arrives wondering the same thing. If so many people tell similar stories, could there be a small piece of truth hidden somewhere within them? Or is the real mystery not what happened in the desert, but why people continue to believe it happened at all? Legends are powerful. But science asks a different question. What can actually be proven? Over the years, geologists, biologists, astronomers, and environmental researchers have visited the zone of silence to investigate the extraordinary claims. If the desert truly disrupted radio signals, there should be measurable evidence. If powerful magnetic forces existed, scientists should be able to detect them. But after decades of research, no study has found a permanent magnetic field or mysterious energy capable of consistently affecting compasses, aircraft, or communication systems. That doesn't mean every strange experience was invented. The Chihuahuan Desert is one of the harshest environments in North America. Temperatures can swing dramatically between day and night. Powerful dust storms can reduce visibility to almost nothing. Its mountains and valleys can interfere with some radio transmissions, especially with older equipment. In such conditions, even ordinary events can feel extraordinary. Researchers did discover something genuinely unusual about the region. Not aliens, not invisible forces. Nature itself. The zone of silence sits in an area where meteorites have fallen more frequently than in many surrounding regions. Scientists believe its geology and long history have made it an important location for studying meteorite impacts and rare desert ecosystems. The region is also home to unique plants and animals that have adapted to survive one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth. In other words, the real wonder of the zone of silence may not be supernatural at all. It may be that nature created a place so remote, so extreme, and so mysterious that it inspired stories far greater than the evidence itself. And perhaps that's why the legend has survived for more than half a century. Because when people enter a landscape filled with silence, their imagination often fills the empty space. But one question still remains. If science explains so much, why do so many people continue to believe there is something hidden here? To answer that, we must examine the theories that refuse to die. Every great mystery gives birth to theories. Some are supported by science. Others survive because they capture our imagination. The zone of silence is no exception. Let's examine the most popular explanations, one by one. Theory 1. A natural phenomenon. This is the explanation accepted by most scientists. The Chihuahuan Desert is vast, isolated, and geographically complex. Its mountains can block or weaken radio signals. Extreme heat can create unusual atmospheric conditions. Dust storms can reduce visibility and disorient travelers. Together, these factors can make perfectly ordinary events feel mysterious. Based on the available evidence, this remains the strongest explanation. Theory 2. A magnetic anomaly. For decades, people claimed that compasses behaved strangely in the zone of silence. If true, it would suggest an unusual magnetic field beneath the desert. But repeated scientific investigations have found no permanent magnetic anomaly powerful enough to explain the legend. That doesn't mean a compass could never behave unexpectedly, but there is no convincing evidence that the entire region has unique magnetic properties. Theory 3. The UFO connection. This is by far the most famous theory. Some visitors have reported strange lights in the night sky. Others claim to see unidentified flying objects. The legend of the three mysterious strangers only added fuel to these stories. Supporters believe the desert may be a place where extraterrestrial visitors have been seen for decades. The problem is, there is no verified physical evidence linking the zone of silence to extraterrestrial activity. No confirmed photographs. No recovered technology. No scientific findings. Only eyewitness reports and local folklore. Theory 4. The power of human psychology. There is another possibility. When people visit a place already known as mysterious, they naturally pay closer attention to every unusual sound, every strange shadow, and every unexpected event. Psychologists call this confirmation bias, our tendency to notice information that supports what we already expect to find. In a silent desert, far from cities and surrounded by endless horizons, the mind can easily transform uncertainty into mystery. So, which theory is correct? The honest answer is, no one knows everything. Science explains much of the legend. Folklore explains why the stories spread. And human curiosity keeps the mystery alive. Perhaps the zone of silence doesn't need aliens or invisible forces to be extraordinary. Perhaps the greatest mystery is why this lonely stretch of desert continues to inspire wonder in everyone who visits it. And that may be the one question no investigation can ever fully answer. The world's greatest mysteries don't always end with a shocking revelation. Sometimes, They end with another question. The zone of silence has been investigated for more than half a century. Scientists have studied its geology. Researchers have examined its wildlife. Engineers have explained the missile accident. And yet, the legend refuses to disappear. Why? Because this story was never just about a desert. It was about the unknown. Every generation has looked toward places beyond the edge of civilization and wondered the same thing. What if there's something we still don't understand? The zone of silence reminds us how easily a single event can become a legend. A rocket crashes. A few strange stories are told. Newspapers publish dramatic headlines. Visitors arrive expecting the impossible. And over time, the mystery grows larger than the facts themselves. But that doesn't mean the story has no value. In fact, it teaches us something important. Real investigation isn't about believing every claim. It's about asking difficult questions, testing the evidence, and following the facts wherever they lead. Today, there is no verified scientific evidence proving that the zone of silence is a place where mysterious forces disrupt technology, or that extraterrestrial visitors have ever been confirmed there. Yet the desert remains one of the most fascinating places in Mexico. Not because we know all the answers, but because we don't. Perhaps the greatest mystery isn't hidden beneath the sand. Perhaps it's hidden within us. Our curiosity, our imagination, and our endless desire to explore the unexplained. So, if you stood alone in the silence of that desert, with nothing but the wind around you, would you see an ordinary landscape? Or would you begin to wonder if the next answer was waiting just beyond the horizon? The choice is yours. Every mystery leaves behind a question, and every question leads us to another story. If you enjoyed this investigation, subscribe and join us as we uncover the world's greatest unsolved mysteries, one case at a time.